pact once broken, forged anew. Warlocks Waffles, forged anew. Did you want waffles?
Good morning. Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
We're here. We did it.
I'm alive.
Jeez. It went from tired to dying.
Oh man. Did you ever? I'm just gonna start hard tangent.
Damn.
Did you ever play the Lego Star Wars games?
I have played demos of them
Okay.
because they were just on things.
They're amazing. They're fantastic. Everyone should play Lego Star Wars. Tangent reason being, in Lego Star Wars, you can play as Yoda. If Yoda dies, he makes this very specific sound, and I think about that sound all the time. It just plays in my head nonstop. But the sound is like this. I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to do it.
Yeah, you've already.
I know.
Set this
I've
up.
queued myself
you
up
have to
for
commit.
failure here. It's like yeah.
You know what that sounds like? That sounds like a Yoda dying, definitely. Good morning, everyone. I'll do Hunter's bit. Good morning.
Hi,
It's
everybody.
Monday.
Welcome to Warlocks Waffles.
Warlocks
Oh,
and
man.
waffles. Is it a side tangent from your tangent that you know that I can't think of Yoda without thinking of Yoda like fighting, like lightsaber fighting from like that one, the first time we see him like actually fight Dooku, but then I can't not also think of Mickey Mouse in Kingdom Hearts. That's how Mickey fights. Mickey pulls out a Keyblade, and when you get to play as him at one point, it's essentially Yoda lightsaber fighting style. Like that's his. If you go, which fighting style do you have, Yoda? And he just does a lot of
Oh boy.
So I can't think of Yoda without thinking of a very combative, skilled, deadly Mickey Mouse.
The more you know.
This all has to do with what we're talking about today.
We're tired, folks.
We're so fucking tired.
So tired.
We're so tired.
I am starting this
how
Monday.
tired are you?
I'm starting this Monday. No spell slots. Out of my all my abilities. I got nothing left in the tank, Judy.
I put on
I'm so tired.
a flower patterned shirt that I never like. Shanice, like it's just, hey, I want you to wear these kind of shirts occasionally. I think it'd be fun for you. And I'm like, no, I don't really wear stuff like that. But you know what? You know how tired I am today? I said I'm gonna put on a button up that looks like I'm clearly a tourist somewhere, and I'm gonna get on my TTRPG morning show and talk about Mickey Mouse fighting like Yoda.
My shirt My shirt is the newest shirt we did for Start Playing, which is oh, my mic is going to be in the way, so I'll say what it is and then I'll show the shirt.
Okay.
It is Cthulhu fighting a Tarask.
Okay. Oh, that looks like an intimate situation.
It's Cthulhu and a Tarask locked in a tender embrace.
Yeah, it does kind of look like that. Hey, I hate to ruin it for you, but or make it better.
Yeah, it's just the Tarask being like, "I've missed you so much.
I didn't know that love like this could exist.
I didn't think an eldritch horror like me deserved someone like you."
And then it's just like, shh.
Just one long, horrifying clawed finger of the Tarask being like,
It looks like an attack, and it's just
"You
really
are
just.
worthy of love."
And then he's just like, love me, love me.
The tentacles just caress the side of the Tarask's face.
Tentacles from off camera that are like clear. Like, where are they coming from?
So
oh,
anyway,
crap, Rosie's here. Yeah, hey, Rosie.
Morning,
how you
Rosie.
doing?
So anyway, this is the announcement of Junie and my new erotic novel set.
I have so many erotic novels. I have
Hard tangent, because that's how this is the episode where both of us are so tired that it's gonna be a lot of tangents, folks. Buckle in.
No, we have an outline.
We have an outline.
just
It's gonna
stick
be
it
a
to
lot
me.
of tangents.
It's on that outline.
There's just space in the outline that says tangents. Never mind, I forgot what the tangent was.
It was about my erotic novels.
Yes, it was.
Uh-huh.
We should make them. We should
Write them. We should write them.
We should do them, and we should.
We should write. That's what you mean.
We
should
write the stories, and then we should record them as audio dramas. And then
I do want to do the audio.
and then we should put them up.
Yeah, the Alien versus Predator one is
the Alien versus Predator one is very good.
Yes, it's so good. Okay, all right, hold on. All right,
good morning,
let's
everybody.
Bring it back.
This is a TTRPG morning show. This is where we talk about TTRPG stuff in the morning. It is morning, so let's talk about TTRPG stuff.
Now, you and I had long rests. We both slept for a time, potentially, and that should have constituted we should feel better. But that's not how that works in real life.
Yeah.
But
I feel like I have at least 3 levels of exhaustion.
Yeah, in games, if you don't do anything for an hour, a minimum an hour, you have a lot of benefits, and then if you sleep for is it 6 hours, 7 hours?
It depends.
Yeah,
it's all the stuff.
It says 8 hours of in the D&D 5e rules. But anyway, like a longer period of time, you get just better. You just feel better, and that's technically what's supposed to happen. You know, in real life, you if you rest, you can function, and you get things back.
That is the promise that was made to me.
Correct.
I feel lied to.
For anybody that just sometimes you were just traveling. So anybody that has traveled in any way, if you have sleep apnea, God, oh my goodness, that is like the biggest joke on the planet, because then it's like you could be like, I slept for 9 hours, and you feel like you have negative sleep, which doesn't that sucks. Yeah. Oh, if you do you like know the in and outs of apnea, because that is literally your body decides, oh well, you're off. But you know what? I'm gonna just do some jazzercise while you're asleep. So you just never rest. Your body's just playing a joke on you.
I have restless leg syndrome.
Ooh.
I sleep with not 1 but 2 weighted blankets. There is so much weight on my legs when I'm sleeping. which is great when I'm in my bed. When I have to fly to Denver, I can't put 2 weighted blankets into my bag because it would take up all of the weight of my luggage.
You can't ask like somebody that you only know like decent, like, you know, just be, hey people, can you can I have volunteers to sleep on my legs? Is anybody wants is
Does
anybody
anybody want to be my volunteered leg cuddle buddy?
No, everybody walking away. It
Nope.
sounds weirder. It sounds weirder than I thought. No, okay, cool.
It's weird to ask that at a company meeting.
Oh, did I grossly misread the situation? Oh,
Okay,
I'm
fine.
fired. I'm fired. Oh, okay.
Talking with HR. What?
What? Huh?
Oh my goodness.
What's today?
It's a
Okay,
weird
yeah.
start. It's a weird start to the morning.
No, this is in the chat. Rosie, this is paid gig. No, we do not get paid for this. This is.
Junie, I read that comment in the chat 4 times, trying to think of something funny to say about it. You nailed it. You hit it out of the park. Best way you could have possibly responded to that comment. Well done. Anyway, we're talking about short rests today.
Yes. So, short rests.
Short rests at its core.
I said today
in D&D 5e.
We're talking about short rests, and then I was like, are they enough? Or just, are they enough?
No.
Why?
They could be more. Short rest at its core. Lay down 5 hours, 7 hours, 100 hours. Not a short rest. It's a long rest. Short rest is an hour. 1 hour, you lay down, you get up, you better. So correct me if I'm wrong, because I hate the rules. So
I have it in front of me. Yeah.
And so I read them almost never. Ooh, you have it in front of you? Excellent.
Yeah.
Yep. I have not looked at it in forever.
We have the general idea. It's at least an hour.
At least an hour.
Nothing more strenuous than eating, drinking, reading, or tending to wounds. So just, talking and just not doing anything too crazy.
During a short rest, some classes get things back during a short rest, others don't. During a short rest, you can spend any hit dice that you have to heal yourself back up, and then you move on. A very, very important thing, and something that makes short rests very applicable to the naming convention of our show, Warlocks specifically. Short rests are very important because a Warlock does not have a whole lot of spell slots, but during a short rest they get back all of their spell slots, which makes them a very versatile caster.
1 hour to get back, like, your bullets is a big deal.
It's very important.
I looked at the long rest part and I was like, why do I have 6 in my head? And it's because it's 8 hours. The way the long rest goes, it's 8 hours, 6 of which needs to be sleep, and no more than 2 hours of light activity. And that includes standing watch and stuff like that. But it's supposed to be like, I guess that's why I was like, why is there 6 to 8 hours? And it's because you need to sleep.
You need sleep,
but then
for
also
6
just
hours.
like, that little bit of getting ready for bed and then getting up, and then like the watches, like that's where it's like, okay, that's the 8 hours of like, you're not actively fighting, running, blah 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 blah.
Right. I usually do for my long rest, I usually say 9 hours for my groups. But that is usually because like my groups are usually like 6 players, right? So with 6 players, it's very easy to divide up into 3 watches. It's a little bit
Okay.
more difficult to divide up into 4 watches, because that means that people are like on their own for those watches. If you do 6 watches, you can have 2 people on each watch. So what we usually do is 9 hours, or I'll do the 8 hours, but like it's understood that like there's
You fudge it a little bit, maybe with
time
yeah.
there's time where you're sort of like down, essentially taking a short rest during your watch where you're just kind of like keeping tabs on things. So it's like a little, it just whatever. But essentially
No
to
one's nickel and diming the time, you
right.
know. Yeah.
Essentially to make sure that like the characters can set up their watches how they want to be able to do it. Short rest, on the other hand, substantially less time. I don't think I've ever had a group be like, let's set up watches for this short rest. Have you?
No. Well, that's the thing.
It depends where they are.
Short rests come into play in my games a lot more, only because I try to like plan the sessions around like this is what's gonna happen,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't always like if there's gonna be a long rest, it's almost like that's where they're cutting off and we pick up after the rest usually. Like that's just how more often my games end up.
Mm-hmm.
So when something's dragging out or whatever, they try to do short rests to kind of squeeze something in. A lot of my rests get montaged, like
Mm-hmm.
just like, okay, yeah, this happens. If there's anything you want to say or do, we kind of understand this happens. We just kind of go through it. We don't need to go like role play everything and do roles for everything. This just happens.
Yeah.
But there's one thing I did a TikTok on this a while ago, and I've always wanted to do this, and it's when you need a short rest after like being punished. Like it's just you can recover health during a short rest.
Mm-hmm.
And what helped me understand that more was when people like health isn't just literally like your blood and how much scratches you have, and
Sure.
so after sleeping just your wounds are magically gone.
Mm-hmm.
It's like hero points. It's like it's vitality. It's like
Right.
you are less winded, you have the will to move on type of thing.
Yes.
And that's what's
It's
getting
energy
recovered.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody once described like taking the short rest as like just catching your breath, of
Correct.
like if you've ever ran like a marathon or something like that,
Yep.
or even like a 5K or something, and then gotten to the end and you're like, I just need to sit down, I need to drink a bottle of water, I need to like catch my breath and let the exertion of that energy stop.
Hmm. And one of the things that I've always wanted to do to make short rests spicier
Mm-hmm.
was kind of make them a high risk, high reward type
Mm.
of situation,
Okay.
where I wanted to make short rests naps.
Mm.
And have you ever taken a good nap?
I
A
am
nap where you
not.
feel like a power nap, where you
I'm.
actually feel like, oh, I do feel a little something,
Yeah. I
And then
am.
have you
I
ever
am not
taken a
traditionally a
crappy?
nap person.
I I have become more of a nap person because I have to sneak them in occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but would you say you ever taken a bad nap
Yes.
in a
I would.
chair
I
or
would say
like
the
just nodding in a
majority of my
direction?
naps are bad naps where I
My,
wake up and I'm like, this was a mistake. I'm worse than I was before.
Correct. I've taken like bad naps where I'm in like a bad position. I'm a lot of times in my life, naps became accidental sleeps where you just go like I'm gonna taking a 20-minute, maybe an hour long nap, and then
Mm-hmm.
it's been over an hour or two. Like that's not a nap at that
Mm-hmm.
point. You just went to sleep, right?
Yeah.
So what I always wanted to do
Can
in
can I
in
can I
my
give
uh-huh,
the viewing audience a peek behind the curtain real quick?
sure.
If you all ever logged into the show and Junie looks like like a gremlin who was just slapped out of a coma, that
Yep, that's fair.
that is Judy having woken up, been fully ready to do the show, sat down on a couch, went, I got a few minutes, laid down and passed out, and then was rudely awoken by me like texting and calling him, and then being like, I'm on my way. I lost sleep has taken me.
Yeah. It pisses me off because like I'll have like been up for 2 hours,
Yes.
made like a document,
Yes, you
and
will
like had a
you will
meal.
be fully prepared for
I've
the
watched
show.
2 episodes of
and
an
then go to
anime. Like
bed.
I would have done so much, and then all of a sudden I'm like, yep,
I got time to close
I
my
blink.
eyes for a second.
I blink and it goes. Yeah. So I wanted to do. I've always wanted to incorporate naps into
Yes.
D&D, where it's you can attempt to take a nap, and using either you roll with your Constitution modifier or something like that. You have to roll to see if you take a good nap, and if you take a good nap, maybe that instead of maybe you record like I would almost want to say like you recover hit dice, but let's say you would get to recover like a D6, maybe you get a D8 or maybe a D10, like you recover something
You size
more.
up the die. Yeah.
Exactly. And
Very valuable to like a wizard.
Correct.
Yeah.
And this part I haven't toyed with as much, but the idea of maybe you get something back that you wouldn't normally
Sure.
get, you know what I mean? But definitely like you recover more, and where you would have had like you've been lethargic, maybe you do have a pep on your step, so like you can maybe not remove all the things of exhaustion, but maybe there's an element of it. I've been doing a lot of situational disadvantages,
Sure.
you know what I mean,
Yeah.
where it's just like, oh, you said your ankle's been messing you up, we're not making you move slower, but if you're gonna play soccer,
right,
your kicks are gonna suck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things where it's just like, okay, maybe you are not moving as sluggish now, and maybe dexterity things aren't as with disadvantage, or maybe you cleared your head at least, so maybe this intelligence check isn't with disadvantage, right?
On that same sort of thought process, I've had players where they had several levels of exhaustion, and they took a short rest, and I didn't let them get rid of a point of exhaustion, but what I did is I said, you have delayed a point of exhaustion, where like you had 3 points of exhaustion, you took a short rest for like the next however many hours, you only have the effects of 2. You have like
that's great.
temporarily removed the effect of 1 level
really
of exhaustion, because like you took the time to let your body rest and like get that short like burst of energy.
Exactly.
Have you ever had
really
that
good,
like you are so tired, but you were able to like rally, right?
Oh yeah.
Like I'm gonna lay down for a little bit. Like I've had such a long week, I don't want to do anything. I know I have this event tonight. Let me go to bed so that I can rally for it. Sort of that thought process. It started at a convention because it was like a Saturday night event that I had to go to, and I was like, I will die if I just go to this event. I have 3 levels of exhaustion. Let me just go to like take a nap. And I woke up and I was like, let's do this. And then like
sometimes
got
you
home.
you just need a little something.
Yeah, I absolutely felt worse in the morning because I did like push myself farther than I should have. But that concept of like let me give myself just enough energy to push through to be able to like make it through this important thing. And usually what I'll do is like, you have 3 levels of exhaustion right now. If you want to take a short rest to rally and temporarily only have 2 instead of 3, you can. But if you don't take a long rest to like recover this, you will have 4 instead of 3.
Yeah, that's good. And we at some point we're gonna have to talk about exhaustion, because I don't
it's
ever
such an important
get to
mechanic.
use it enough, but it's really like it's really good, and you could use weather and like just little effects to turn even the dumbest of situations into very deadly complex situations.
Yeah, we can do a whole episode on exhaustion because it's a fun mechanic.
Yeah. But for the nap situation, if you take a bad nap, it's going to be bad news.
It's worse
because you are trying to accomplish, like, you with the short rest, you are not decommissioning yourself, right? you are just, doing something that is leisurely. You are not, you're not necessarily taking a nap. But if
Mm-hmm.
you are making yourself unconscious,
Mm-hmm.
what I mean, it's a high risk. You don't know what could happen at that point. So it's like one of those, like, all right, who's taking a regular short rest and who's trying to take a power nap?
Mm-hmm.
Like those people are going to get some sort of boon for that, like, putting themselves in that vulnerable position.
Mm-hmm.
But if you take a bad nap, I would imagine like you're going to have a crick in your neck and you're going to have
Yeah.
disadvantage on dexterity checks where you might not have had that. And maybe in the same way, maybe you'll get an extra bump up on the die. If you were supposed to get a D6, maybe you're only getting a D4. If you got a
Mm-hmm.
D8, you're only going to get a D6. Where it's just like you didn't do, you just, it sucks saying it like this, but you failed at taking a nap. And sometimes that does happen. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I have set myself up for success with naps sometimes and been like, I'm gonna put on headphones, put on some binaural beats,
Yeah.
where it's like and then 20 minutes and actually woken up and be like, I'm actually good.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes those are great, and other times I have laid at a weird angle with my glasses on,
Mm-hmm.
and then just like, I'm not gonna sleep, but let me just rest, and then I take a nap,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel and look like crap.
That was me on my flight yesterday. It was absolutely horrible.
Flight. Oh God, I'm not good
The
at that. I stay awake, so like,
I was so tired. I was like, I need to just like rest, but I was like middle seat, so I'm like, I guess I'll lean forward. And so I like leaned forward onto my tray, and I like fell asleep, but it was like not productive, and I woke up and my head had like it, I guess it had been on the like front of the seat and or the like back of the seat in front of me. But then at some point it had like slipped down, so the top of my head was like under the latch of the, like, like where the table, the latch part at the top,
yeah.
it had like slipped under there, so there's just like this piece of plastic that was like holding my head there. And then I like woke up and like, ow, that's bad. It like still is like all fucked in here.
It's that kind of like muscle like pain that you don't realize until you move out of it, because you were
Mm-hmm.
just in it. You were like, oh, whatever, and then you're like, oh, that hurts. Oh,
Yeah.
that shouldn't have been allowed to happen for
Yeah.
longer than
My body
that
didn't enjoy
was.
that. Yeah. There was something you said, I think you said you like for determining if it was a good rest or not. You said a constitution like saving throw or something like
A
that.
constitution saving throw or check, only because like it's saving throw, like, it's like something's being done to you and you have no, like, a check is like
Mm-hmm.
you're trying. But when it comes to a constitution check, it's usually like you're trying to brave the elements or
Sure.
resist like a poison, but even then that's usually like a save.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you're actively trying to will your body into a recovery state,
Mm-hmm.
and which doesn't sound easy, you know what I mean? Like, but you can try to set yourself up for success where it's like you're positioned right, and
Mm-hmm.
you have a sleep mask on or whatever the heck, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, I'm already imagining a matching item where there's a sleep mask, and you know
To
what I
give you
mean? It's just
advantage
like
on these rolls.
to give you advantage on a nap
Yeah.
check. Yeah, like
I
legitimately. Yeah.
my gut, when you said a constitution save or a check, my gut was just a like a flat d20 roll of
Yeah.
like, because my thought process there is a wizard almost always has garbage constitution. A barbarian almost always has great constitution.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that a barbarian is going to be better at like just taking a nap than a wizard is.
Yeah,
Um,
because wizards are always in their
yeah.
head.
Um,
You know.
which I like, but I also like the like a barbarian might not always be like better. Like a wizard could be like that kind of like sleepy old man, who just is gonna like, yes, I'm just going to bundle myself up and like, but if you have a low constitution, then that doesn't affect you. If it's just a flat d20 roll, like it can be, it's always going to be different,
I
which
see that, yeah.
adds more to that like randomness of like, you don't,
Yeah.
it's a gamble. Which
Yeah,
we've talked
yeah.
before about, like giving the players the opportunity to gamble with their rolls. I love that. The other thing that popped into my head as you were talking about it is you talked about having a like a bad nap.
Hmm.
Where it doesn't go the way that you anticipated it going. Have you ever had a nap where you were like, I'm going to take a nap, and you laid down and then your brain wouldn't turn off and you're just like really in your head about the fact that you need to take a nap, and then you're like watching your time tick down on like I only have this amount of time to like fall back asleep and get the benefits of my thing, and you're just in your own head about it. That's also one of the like that's the thing that I think of when I think of like a wasted nap, essentially.
Yeah,
Like you
that's
you
good.
spent your entire short rest so
Worrying about it.
focused
Yeah,
on like
yeah.
trying to gain the benefits of a nap that you weren't able to fully like conk out.
You kept yourself wound up, and the whole
Mm-hmm.
point of like any of the rests, short, long, whatever, is like relaxing, unwinding, and just like decompressing for a second.
Yep.
And if you don't let yourself do that mentally, you won't be able to do it physically. Um, the one thing I what I do like about the doing a flat roll
Mm-hmm.
uh is you're right that it's like it levels the playing field,
Mm-hmm.
but I do something that I admit can be very frustrating for players, and I try to be as fair as possible, but and I always open up all my games with like I can be convinced of things, right?
Sure.
Um, but sometimes that punishes players that if they don't come up with something, then they'll see another player come into play, like and throw something out there, and then it's like, how am I supposed to have fun if this guy can like what is it? Oh, he was able to like I missed my attack and there was nothing I can do, but
Mm-hmm.
he realized oh, he's near a ledge. Can I push him into that other guy? And then he has this crazy situation because he thought outside that box. And I was like, oh, you want to push him over a ledge? Well, this is how this would work. And it would play out like this. But then it's like that person will be frustrated because it's just like, well, are you inventing rules or anything? So it would be important that like instantly we've said like setting yourself up for success, doing whatever. I would want to give somebody modifiers and like bonuses,
Yeah. No,
and either
I'm
tell them on the front end, or just like tell them, all right, you are getting a blank edition, or you know what I
yeah.
mean, or not tell them at all and just go like, I want you to describe your nap to me, and I will tell you now that you are either getting something added or taken away depending on what you say.
Ooh, okay. I like that a lot.
Do you know what I mean? Where it's
Yeah.
just like, I know the DC is blank,
Yeah.
and then if it's like, all right, I'm going to put on a
Oh, so
neck pillow,
you have a shifting
headphones.
you're talking about a shifting DC for how difficult that nap is as well.
I think it's like whatever. Well, I do everything with like a like I go, this is what would be like 10 is always going to be the average, 15's getting higher. So I kind of go of like, how exhausted are you? How crappy are you?
Sure.
Are you not super done in, but you want to give yourself like a bonus where it's just like, you don't want just max health, you want a spring in your step. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That might be a lower DC. You know what I mean? Because it's one of those things where it's just like, why should you also try to hit an 18 if you are good and you are trying to get a little something extra? That's probably more instead of an 18, maybe that's more of a 15 or a 14. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, but like,
Let me
mhm,
hit you with something on that because
yeah,
we talked about exhaustion briefly.
yeah.
Um, do you see having points of exhaustion and trying to take a nap as a benefit to like you are going to have an easier time just sort of conking out, or a negative of like you are so physically exhausted that like have you ever been too tired to fall asleep?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Which
I
direction do you see
see.
that going?
I want to. I try to give the player like the benefit of, I want you to describe this to the best that you do. I want you to describe this how you want before I take it and either put words in your mouth, or for the sake of like, this is like what makes sense or what is funny. portray you in a way that you totally didn't want to do. It's like, oh, I slept like this, I sleep samurai style, and then you roll low, and I was like, so yeah, everybody walks in and sees you, your pants are down, and you're like this, you know what I mean? So I give them that benefit of trying to like
Right.
go as far as they can, and then the roll kind of helps flavor that. Um, I
I
think if
like that a
somebody's
lot.
like if somebody's exhausted, I I think if they describe themselves as like I take a nap, I'm not going to take that away from them, but I know what happens to me, and this happens to me so often. The give and take with the role is, do you get yourself up? And it's either you are going to take longer than you had intended, which is going to play like the world's always moving around you. So it's either going to be that, or it's going to be a surprise situation where you are not up in time and the world's moving around you, and then it happens upon you, or it's just that negative nap situation now where, man, if you just had 15 more minutes, maybe you would have gotten at least the minimum of a normal short rest. But that's not what happened.
Yeah.
You you didn't lose any of that. You still feel yeah, you gained some hit points because you weren't moving, but it's like if there is short rest, power nap, and then shitty nap, if you're exhausted and you still don't hit what you need to do, you're on that shitty nap scale at that point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, saying something like, "Oh, I get a neck pillow. I put on these I take my satchels and I take everybody's satchels and put them around my ears so that way I don't hear anything." I'm gonna go like they're trying to set themselves up for they're put I asked
You're
so and so
preparing to
just
succeed.
correct. It's just like, oh, I know this isn't gonna affect the wizard a lot, so can I just have him occasionally cast prestidigitation with like some soothing, like essential oil, like stuff in the air sometimes? That's not gonna make him
Yeah,
like hurt his
the
short rest.
the wizard is putting like minor illusions above the orc barbarian of just like shifting stars and stuff to like lull him to sleep.
Can I just like thaumaturgy some ocean sounds or some gentle thunder rumblings to like
The
white noise?
the Aarakocra bard just standing nearby, occasionally going
He
caw,
literally
caw.
Well, the bard literally has like a song of
Yes,
like whatever.
song
I
of
would
rest.
give
Yeah,
everybody like ultra advantage on
yeah.
nap checks if that's actually happening.
I would also my view on the exhaustion points for this thing is I think if you have points of exhaustion, they should add to whatever you roll. However many points of exhaustion you have, add to your roll. So you are more likely to have a good rest because you like passed out.
That's fair. Yeah.
If you
Yeah. Yeah.
if you miss the check, if you don't succeed, you have worse results if you failed it. So you have the like you are more likely to succeed because your body is so tired it wants to fall asleep. But if you don't make the check, if it fails, if you get the bad nap with that bonus, those effects are now worse because like I've had times where I'm like I need to go to sleep and like
Mm-hmm.
I do fall asleep and then I feel horrible when I wake up. It's one
Mm-hmm.
of the reasons that I
Yep.
don't really take naps is that I almost always wake up feeling worse than I did when I went to bed.
That
Um
was me. Yep. I feel you. I
and
feel you.
I think that's the exhaustion points of like if your body is needing that sleep and you're giving it a little bit but you're not giving it enough of it to like recover, it doesn't help and sometimes it hurts.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I would play the exhaustion points, I think.
Th- like when something that unless there is something just dramatically derailing the short rest for the group, I think that is it is something that, because it is such a short amount of time, um you shouldn't deny. You shouldn't deny players in a party. Like a long rest, it's like, oh, you were ambushed. Oh,
Sure.
something happened. It's a long amount of time, a stretch of time where something can happen.
Hmm.
And it's just like if you're spending like anywhere from 2.5 to 3+ hours at a game table, and they just want to take an hour
Yeah.
of in game, like of like in game time to like try to like go forward, it sucks to have that kind of thing denied, unless you're in that kind of situation
Yes.
where it's like they tried to do it in a high stress situation. They're in a
Very,
dungeon, they're on a
very
battlefield. Like
important
there's
addendum to that of like
correct, yeah,
if they are
yeah,
in a space where it does not make sense for it to be
correct. They
capable of
are
happening.
doing something.
Yeah.
They are doing it in a place to try to eke out like a little extra something or other. I know people have had like it's like, oh, we're in the middle of a dungeon, everything's happening, we're gonna take a long rest, and it's just like, are you gonna do that now? You know that somebody's hunting you. You know somebody's dying. You know there's a fire. Yeah, no, because they want the spell slots, and it's just like, all right, well, you're doing that. There will be repercussions for that, and I baby players a lot because I almost explain things in a way not to be like, oh, you're stupid, but to go, you know, these things, and I don't ever want to make somebody feel like, oh, if my guy knew that, he wouldn't have done this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I go, it's like, you can do that, I'm not saying you can't, but your person knows that someone's dying right now, this is what you were asked to do, you did want to do it, you run that risk. So
Yeah.
not that you can't, but like, you know, just know all that. Uh,
Did I?
Mhm.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say that this might be one of those situations where if anything happens, like if it's like trying to get a benefit for during a short rest, it's they can't fail essentially. It's just it's gonna either come out really good if they want to attempt, like it could be the neutral, just take a short rest, try to do real good, and then you get that benefit, like a little extra health or a pep or whatever it is, or it's you're gonna get some health, but you know what I mean. You're not gonna get.
Yeah.
You'll get your features back because you didn't do anything. Took time.
If they choose to like
Correct.
take the nap, if they're choosing to take
Yeah.
that gamble, they're not choosing to gamble the possibility of like they don't get any benefit of their short rest. They're still
Correct.
taking the
Yeah.
short rest. It is
Yeah.
just, will the benefits be greater or less than what they would have been if they had just chose to stay neutral?
Correct. Yeah.
Have I told the story about my group who, like, in the middle of very important stuff, decided to just take a rest recently?
Were they recently?
Yeah.
Uh, did this? Are you saying, did you tell the story recently, or did this
It
actually
happened.
happen
It happened
recently?
fairly recently. It was like
Then I don't think
last
so.
month or so.
I don't know. I don't
Okay,
think so.
I'll tell
If
it
this
anyway.
wasn't like, oh, this was
Um,
one of my like dad stories, like
no, no,
one of the
no.
ones
This
that
is
like
one of
I know
my
you've
like
told.
ongoing current games.
I don't think you have.
So Mel and Daniel, who both played in Hooligans, Brecca and Roddy, for those of you who have watched Hooligans, Mel and Daniel play in one of my other games, which is just one of my like ongoing home games. They play in one of those, and that group had gone to this volcano where they were going to try and like stop this person that they've been like chasing for a while. It's this vampire named Lord Aran, who is in this like cult of the dragons, where he is releasing these ancient primordial dragons. Essentially, each of the dragons has like one dragon that was the first of their kind, and some of them are still alive, or some of them have been like have died, but were like taken by their followers and buried away, hopefully to be raised again. And so there are these ancient primordial dragons. They had already raised the blue dragon. It was the first one that got raised, was the blue one. And in doing so, part of the like ritual to like bring it back was the sacrifice of I forget what the exact wording was, but it was a like a living humanoid sacrifice had to be made in order to like raise it. And so they had one of the party members had this goblin who was like their partner. They were like this very intense relationship. And during this like masquerade party, their partner had kind of like gone off to like go to the bathroom or something like that and hadn't come back. And so when they went off to find him, their partner had been captured by the people that were trying to bring this dragon back and had been like the sacrifice. So they had killed this character's partner to bring back this ancient dragon. So that's what started them on this path of like this person will suffer for what they've done. They go off, they find him, and they find out that he is in the process of trying to bring back the second one, which is the red dragon, who is Don Rosal. He is the primordial red. He is also considered the first dragon. He was the first one who has been locked away, imprisoned in this volcano. And there is this whole like city that has been built up inside the volcano, originally just like worshippers of the dragon, and then expanded to like other things. So there are dragonborn and kobolds, and I created this race of like somewhere between like a kobold and a dwarf. They're just like these sort of like scaly humanoid dwarven looking things with like kind of mossy beards that grow off of them and stuff like that. But they're really only found in like the followers of this red dragon. So Lord Aran is going to like release this red dragon. They followed him. They found where he was supposed to be. And so they're like asking around. They're trying to figure out like, okay, how are we going to make a big enough like distraction that we can like get in there and like take him out before he has a chance to start the ritual to release the dragon. And so they found this kobold who was like very like down with the 1%, like we're like I'm ready to riot. It was this whole kobold's energy. And so they found him and they were like, you seem like really on edge. And he's like, yeah man, I just this place sucks. They're just stepping on us kobolds. Like there's all these people up there that are just they don't care about us. And so they like kind of riled him up. And then they were like, well, do you want to start a riot? And he was like, yeah, I want to start a riot. Let's do a riot. I know so many people. We could get this riot going. And they're like, okay, they riled him up and they went, okay, we're going to go get the rest of our party. And then we'll be back in a few minutes. When we're coming down, there's these like elevators that descend down into the city in the volcano. They're like, when we're coming down that elevator, we'll shoot off a firework from it. That'll be the signal to start the riot. And we'll get in there and we'll take the city back for you. And he's like, oh yeah, let's do it. And so he runs off to like start gathering his people and like getting stuff ready to go. And so they go back up. They go to their ship to like get the rest of their crew, and they get there and the druid goes, well, I'm down one spell slot. If we're going into like a big fight, we probably want me to be at my full capability. And the wizard goes, yeah, I also am down one spell slot. Like I would appreciate a rest. And so they took a long rest. They took 8 hours. We're going to like go fully like to sleep, and then we'll go back in. They told that kobold they would be back in a few minutes, and then they would start this off. So when they were gone for like an hour, I started making rolls for the kobold of like, okay, how long is he willing to wait? Because they worked him up into a tizzy before they left. And so I'm like making these rolls for the kobold, and he made it about 30 minutes before he assumed they've been captured. I need to start this riot so that we can find out where they are and free them.
Logical progression of like,
exactly.
This is, yeah.
And so he started the riot. And so the riot was like fully in swing by the end of like 1 hour of them being gone. And then they were gone for 7 more. And then they came back and they like start going down the elevator to come back down into the city. And we ended the session with them like deciding that they were going to take a long rest. So we're like, okay, let's end the session there. We'll pick up next time. So we picked up with them, like they finished their long rest, they got their stuff, they headed into the volcano, and they started descending the elevator. And I had this sort of like peaceful like tavern music playing, and I switched it to a playlist that I did that I just called Time to Riot, and it's just like really intense like riot music. And so I'm describing as the elevator is going down, they just see the entire city is on fire, and there's just like hordes of people running through, like fully rioting. There were like these ballistas on the top of the tower that somebody was just on the ballista, like just firing giant ballista bolts into random buildings in the city.
Was it in full swing, or was this like, if we had to make it like a ramp situation, was this like towards the top of the ramp, or was this on the tail end of this riot at this point?
It was on the tail end of the riot, but it was like they had essentially wiped out like all the city guards, all of the people who had been fighting against it had like been wiped out, but it was still like it was a lot of like the like
happening,
looting
but like,
side of it,
but like okay.
But they were gone for like hours of this.
Yeah.
And the bad guy who is in the town and like is there to do this ritual sees, oh my God, the city is on fire. These people, they are like rioting. It wasn't that he couldn't be there. He was like, I need to go now.
He needs to move up his timetable.
So a ritual that should have taken him, like he had plans to start like days from now that he was going to be starting this ritual. They had plenty of time. They started this ritual, so he was like, they started the riot, so he was like, I need to move because who knows what's going to happen in this. And so he like gathered his people. He headed to the location of the ritual in this town and had like used magic to seal off the entrance and was like inside. And they were already multiple hours into this ritual by the time the party got there. And so then the party is like having to fight through the riot to get to the bridge, to like try and break through the barrier to cross this like long bridge, and then fight through like Lord Aaron and his like people to try and stop this ritual. And what it was up at the top of this tower was this giant crystal, and the crystal had to have sacrifices put into it, but it needed 6 sacrifices, and so the people that were doing it had like captured kobolds and were like slowly sacrificing these kobolds to like release their energies into it, and the players managed to stop them with 1 kobold left and like sever the tie between him and this crystal. But like the kobold has this mark on him that's sort of glowing and pulsating with magic still, and they're like, if this kobold dies, we're pretty sure that completes the ritual. We need to make sure that this kobold never dies. And so now they've like essentially kidnapped this kobold because they're like, you will end the world if you die. But like I was fully prepared for them to like, none of his allies were there yet. None of the people that he needed in order to do this ritual had arrived yet. Like it was just him that was there, like scoping out the situation, and they elevated his timeline by so much because they like started this riot and left. And so like if they hadn't gone back in, it would have been so much worse. Oh, I lost audio for you.
I muted so you didn't hear me breathing. For 2 spell slots, they made everything exponentially crazier for themselves.
Well, and here is the wildest part to me is one of those spell slots was being used to cast Locate Person. And so they had cast Locate Person on Lord Eron, and had like known kind of where he was at. As soon as they started descending on that elevator, they cast Locate Person again to try and figure out where he was at. And like they were able to pinpoint, okay, he's in the middle there, like doing the ritual. But like they immediately recast a spell that they had like taken the long rest to recover. So they literally took a long rest, and like kickstarted everything and made everything way more difficult on themselves for the sake of a third level spell slot.
If that didn't like make the difference, then it's like
The
it's
wi-
just one of those.
the
in
wizard had
retrospect, you know.
the wizard had 4 spell slots left at the end of the fight.
Yeah, and that's that video game thing where it's just like you have to hoard it just in case. Um, New mechanic I'm proposing
Yeah.
is definitely. Oh my god, I know you with Warlocks with hash browns and hooligans. You
Mhm.
know, I know you like to wang jangle a magic system.
I do enjoy
I like to do like
maximized system. Yeah.
I like to like maybe like play with what exists, but doing a big old thing I can't do it in my brain. But imagine
You like to
a
alter
situation.
what's there. You don't want to like say that's
Yeah.
all trash now. This is the new thing.
Yeah, like I would go so far as like maybe it's like okay, maybe if two people collaborated
Mhm.
on a fourth level spell, maybe it's they only spend 2 apiece. You know
Sure.
what I mean? Something like that. But
Essentially
imagine,
sharing
yeah,
energy. Yeah.
imagine magic is like it builds,
Mhm.
and but not in a good way. Like your tank can only hold so much,
Mhm.
and maybe yeah, like you won't like overflow unless you never go all the way down,
Mhm.
and you need to use all those spell slots. So just imagine a campaign of you can't end the day with spells.
Mm.
You can't, you have to use them. And because magic sucks, because the world like
I
if
like
you're always
that a
wondering, it's like, well, that
lot.
doesn't make sense. It's like if there's a world with magic, unfortunately you could make anything make sense and
Sure.
just word it away with magic. So there's the difference between you firing off a fireball into the night and you needing to cast a spell.
Yeah.
It's
Oh
not
man.
not to get too gross, but it's like there's a way to get relief by yourself, and there's a way to get relief when there's something else going on there. So you can't just go with like, I'm gonna go out back, I gotta release some spells. Like, no, that's not the way that's gonna work. It might help,
Oh
but it's
my
not gonna be
God.
the same thing.
I
So yeah,
I can't believe what you just said.
I clipped it. But okay. So what I'm saying is,
No,
you
I
gotta
I
use the
totally
spell. Yeah.
I really like that system though, because it makes magic a much more like terrifying
Yeah.
ability
Yeah.
of like if you have a like a kid who is like has these magic abilities that are manifesting, it is now a like, we need you to be trained so
Yeah.
that you can like use them effectively.
Or you'll go blind.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Ever since Timmy turned 14, he just spends all day up in his room prestidigitating.
Real quick, I was when I was getting ready for today, I was looking up like different short rest homebrew things.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that there's a portion of this this one rule that I like. They were throwing out like a 3 rest system.
Sure.
Where it's short rest, long rest, but there was an extended rest, and I don't understand what this one would do as so much. I'm guessing that
What's the mechanic? Or did it
well,
just say that there were three options and didn't go into it?
It's like three options, and it could be because maybe there was like in older editions there was like you didn't always get everything back
Sure.
simply after a long rest. So maybe this is like hearkening, like it's going back to that because they're saying the extended rest 4 hours of it's 7 days, 10 days, whatever the extended rest. PC recovers all hit points, dice, spell slots. But the one part that I really like latched onto was a well rested bonus.
Mm.
And
does it say how long an extended rest would be classified as?
It says 1 week of time in universe. So like, and that's
Okay.
something where you said like you made your long rest 9 hours. I was just like, once again, magic or worlds are different. What if
Right.
9 hours, like that just makes, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like that doesn't have to be weird. That's just like that's a normal increment of time.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be a 24-hour clock because everybody
Sure.
has to go. Everybody's always brings it back to it was 7 days a week, 24/7 type of thing.
Well, and it sounds like the intent there is not a like, yes, the party lays down and they sleep for 7 hours or 7 days, because you're saying like seven
And this,
seven
and this one,
days
I
of in
think
world.
it's.
It
I'm assuming
sounds
that
like
you don't
it
get
is
everything back after a regular rest. I
right.
think it's something
It
that's like
it
this one's gonna take
sounds
more
like
than a day.
the intent there is to give players a reason to be like, okay, we're going to take a down week where we're not just out adventuring all the time. It's giving them a reason to like have somewhere to return to, and a
Well,
base, and a like something that they are going to take the time to plan and prepare before rushing into
I think it
stuff.
gets I think it feeds into this next part because now the more when I'm looking at back to back because I think it's if you were to go we take an extended rest and
Hmm.
then you're saying like we're going to take a week or something like that. There's this well rested bonus that I
Right.
kind of like, and it's if they're well rested, their maximum HP increases by a number equal to their level
Mm.
until the start of their next long rest, and they gain one lucky die. I don't know about the lucky one,
I
but
actually really like the lucky die.
but it's like
Yeah.
you're coming out of vacation essentially.
Yeah.
Like it's essentially you come back with this freaking shirt, right?
Well,
And you just you have a hit points increase,
yeah.
and you have that extra oomph. And I when I think about it now, I do like it.
Yeah.
I would like to do it like I wish there was a way to do it to a long rest,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I would have to do that whole you put a neck pillow and do
Mm-hmm.
the rock salts type of thing. You know what I mean? Something to
Yeah.
like
I think
give yourself that.
the lucky die for me is also like a you are like I would see my party do this like anytime they know that they're going to have to go into this thing, right? Is they're taking a an extended rest because they know what is coming. So I could see the lucky die also being there to represent like you've taken time to plan and strategize, and you've built out like an idea of how you are going to do things. So then in that moment you have that plan to fall back on that you can use the lucky die when things are like not going the way they should be. I like that concept a lot.
You know something it says too here. Uh, during an extended rest, it's they can't perform more than 4 hours of mild work per day, right? And while living a modest lifestyle or greater. So there's you know it's you got to be taking it easy. But what's funny about that too is it says something about like cantrips and spell slots and stuff like that. I imagined that if you're a spellcaster,
Hmm.
counting using spells as exertion.
Yeah. Well,
As like
I would
if you're
imagine
casting cantrips,
it's hugely physically taxing. That's
yeah, well, like
why
anything more than a cantrip. Anything
yeah,
more than a cantrip is just like you are trying to do something. You're not on vacation.
you're
You're still
expending
working.
energy.
Yeah, you're
Um
still working. You are not you're not disconnecting. You're still
mhm.
checking your emails. It doesn't matter if you're casting something like I'm trying to give a first level spell that's not outrageous.
Magic missile.
You know, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's just simple that is easy for you.
Hmm.
You are not fully detached.
Yeah. I like that a lot.
Yep.
Um yeah, I think that's very very beneficial. I do want to address because I know that people will will bring it up. Um where we've talked about like we were talking about your like nap thing earlier.
Hmm.
If you are a like an elf or something like that where you don't sleep, um the like there will be people that will say, oh well, they don't sleep, so they don't need like they wouldn't be able to get the benefits of a nap. It's not that they don't, it's that they don't need to. They still could. If you're an elf, you could go like you could take a nap, you could fully check out if you needed to. You don't need to. You can get the benefits of a long rest with just like sitting in that meditation. So if you can do that, why would like the majority of elves wouldn't waste the time of like taking a full sleep? But if you wanted to, you absolutely could. Same thing goes for like a construct or something like that. Like they could fully like power down if they needed to.
The ramifications of, because I immediately thought of the wording on the way the elf race sleep, the trance.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly what you said. It's like they don't need sleep.
The first
they
line,
meditate.
elves don't need to sleep.
They don't need to sleep. They meditate semi-conscious for 4 hours a day, while meditating. But here's the thing with that, which is very interesting, because I immediately thought of the second part you brought up.
Mm-hmm.
Is it's like, man, that it would be real trippy for them to go like, wow, I've completely cut off. That's bonkers. So to get like that, they really detached, that would be crazy. And that, like, just going to bed, right? For something like a Warforge or something like a construct, that is like, unless you describe it as like an ultra low power down state where it is like you are turning off everything. You know what I mean? It's almost like I'm gonna go into, like, I don't want, what is it, like a controlled coma essentially. You know what I mean? You are like, I need you to hit this button. I need you to wake me up because I have to turn off everything.
Yeah.
Because that's not how I work. Like, almost like I'm not built like that. I'm not built to take a sleep. So like I can't. I almost like if a Warforged tries to take a full serious ass nap, they can't do it alone. And it's like this, the ultimate trust and vulnerability thing. It's just like, I need to die for a little bit. I need to die so that way I can solar recharge.
I played in you know Eric from SPG. We've done a bunch of games together. I played in one of Eric's games. It was in the Cypher system. And he, in that game, has a player who is like essentially a Warforged. And so he did have like a party member like power him down fully, and he's like fully powered down. He's just sort of sitting there like useless. And when they powered him back up, he had like he described himself as having like a loading bar that displayed across his chest, and like the like Windows 95 like startup sound as it's like loading. And essentially he was like, it went through the update process of like installing all these updates because it had been fully restarted. And that's how he did his level up. He was like, I level up because there's new updates that have been installed. I was like, that's such a good way to describe that for a character like that. It's just there's so much flexibility with how you flavor things. I would say the only one that I'm like, yeah, that one probably can't sleep is anything on the undead spectrum, of like, are you a revenant? Are you a reborn? Are you a Dampier? Like any of those, I'm like, you probably not only do you not sleep, I don't know if you could, because you're like not fully alive. And so like sleep feels like a very like a very living thing. I'm still torn on the like whether or not Warforged would be able to. I feel like Warforged makes a little sense that you like turn them off and then turn them back on, but that's fully
like, imagine
fully
when our
into
watches
the, like,
die. You know how like when our watches die, they hold that little bit of charge to be able
where
to
it still
go
shows the time.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, it's not a full off. It's
Yeah.
like enough to be, you don't die, but
Mhm.
you have to cease functioning everything to at least divert all power to this. You know what I mean? For if they were undead, a revenant or something like that, I wonder if it's like I personally, I think this would only work with like a more role play situation,
Sure.
like type of character, where it's just like, you are going to go to a place that you may or may not like.
Yeah.
Because in order to rest, you have to rest.
Yeah.
Like be
You have
put to rest.
You have to be put to rest. So your
it's-
body is dead. Like your body
So
is, you are allowing your body to go to full dead to allow your spirit to like detach and
revitalize and
revitalize. Yeah.
So that it's like for them, it is a sleep mask with like crosses on it. Like it is like they need a
A
symbol. They need something
t-shirt,
to
like
help.
a big baggy t-shirt that says "Don't wake me till I've had my coffee."
Yeah. And it's something to some sort of relic to let them take a nap.
That's very good.
That's one of those like it's for those races that like yeah. So for I would almost you know what I would do? I would actually make it where there's a perceived detriment to all the ones that don't normally.
Hmm.
There is like some reason why they wouldn't. So for Warforged, it's like I kind of have to almost semi die, so
Hmm.
it's scary. For like a damp here or like a revenant, somebody a reborn, it's like you need something to help you detach literally,
Hmm.
and you will either see something that scares you
Hmm.
or something that will make you sad,
Sure.
like
You,
something you're missing or something beautiful, you
yeah.
know uh uh
Imagine one of those like reborn or something like that, where in detach you are essentially detaching your soul from the body again, right?
mhm,
So what if your soul goes to like wherever it's
mhm,
supposed to be
mhm.
because you are
sees
defying death?
sees
Uh,
sees loved ones that
yeah.
you're gonna miss, and it's
But
like it's
if
painful, it's hard.
things like if whatever like is in charge of that place that you're supposed to be finds you,
mm,
you might not be able to go back. Like
mm,
if you are fully detaching your soul to allow it to like drift somewhere else, if something found that, that's not great.
mm,
There's a I forget what game it was. I think it's Orpheus,
mhm,
which I believe is one of the White Wolf systems. But
mhm,
there was a type of character in there that could essentially project their like spirit out of their body. And there would be like a tether that attaches that spirit to your body. But if other things that were like untethered found that tether, it could like
yeah.
crawl along it
Yeah, I was
back
about to
to
say is
your
like
body.
that's my big thing. It's like you're leaving a vessel empty
Yeah.
type of thing. That's how I see that.
For an elf, it'd be less important, but I could
Oh
see
no,
like
I see an elf being. Go ahead.
one of the reasons that an elf probably doesn't sleep is that it allows their body to sort of like fall out of that like elven like grace. There's no grace in just and so like maybe one of the reasons elves live so long is that they're always in this like peaceful trance state, and if they are like sleeping, it like shortens their like extended lives because they're allowing themselves to do this like more mortal thing. I could also see if an elf has advantages on saving throws against being charmed, and magic can't put them to sleep. But if they are willingly allowing their body to go to
Mm-hmm.
sleep, magic might be able to.
Mm-hmm. Uh, I I firmly disagree on the grace thing. I wonder if they have transcended to be where they are because they've achieved this zen, like they can trance,
Uh
right?
huh.
Um, but maybe they used to be able to sleep and dream, and what if an elf that it's like almost like one of those things where it's I don't I only know the basic details of like the giver, but imagine it's like elder elves go, it's just like, well, there's a reason we don't sleep, and
Mm-hmm.
then the one young elf in the party is just like, I'm gonna actually try to sleep and force myself to sleep, and then when he wakes up, he feels so fucking awesome, and he feels so chill, and it's addicting.
Mm.
Oh, this is a level of relaxation and ease and dreams.
Mm-hmm.
I can't dream like that when I'm in a trance.
Right.
And it gets to the point where it's almost like
They just always want to
I
sleep.
I want to sleep.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it's like, yo, you look beautiful. You've been getting your beauty rest? Yes. And I
Yeah.
never want to wake from it.
And it could be that like elves are traditionally displayed as kind of like uptight.
Hmm.
Like that could be because
Because they don't,
they
yeah,
don't sleep.
they
They
don't
don't
they
allow
don't
themselves
just
to
sleep.
just
And
fully turn
like
off.
wood elves are all chill because they probably is just like, yo, we sleep in trees, man. Like we
Yeah.
just conk out.
Wood elves are chill because they smoke. But like that's completely different.
They're still uptight still. They still also never sleep. It's just like, yo man, I'm chill. I don't
Yeah,
sleep though.
yeah.
Like somebody could stab me or
I'm not a
something. No.
monster. Um,
I'm not a savage.
yeah. Oh man, I like that a lot. And you could do that in many
Mm-hmm.
different ways depending on what your like home game looks like. I like
Mm-hmm.
that a lot. Um,
Uh, we're over time,
we are.
but
We usually are.
this is good. We I feel like this was a productive yet not a productive short rest in that we discussed a lot of cool things. But I feel like I rolled well because I do feel energized. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel that this was good. Will I be have advantage on dexterity checks? Probably not. But mentally, I'm here.
Um, I would like to close us out. I have a when you said short rests, I
Hmm.
immediately thought of one of my groups. I would
Hmm.
like to tell a short story about them to close us out, if that's cool.
All right. All right. Okay. I want to see. I want to see. I'm gonna hold you to this. Okay. Go ahead.
I had a group
Uh
that
huh.
for a while was 4 warlocks and a bard. That was the makeup of the party.
Okay.
There was a like a hexblade who was like the frontline person. There was a celestial who was like their healer. So they had like done a very good job of building themselves out.
Hmm.
But what they did was they were essentially these warlocks were the party. And then the bard was the this NPC that they had essentially like hired. Um,
Okay.
all the bard did was used his spell slots on the spell catnap. Are you
Oh
familiar
God.
with catnap?
I know that it needs to be willing. Do you get the benefits of arrest from it or
You get the
no?
benefits of a short rest. You are essentially knocked unconscious unless you are awoken, but you get the benefits of a short rest in a 10-minute window. So it
Mm.
was essentially an entire like 4 warlocks who this bard would knock them out with catnap. They wake up 10 minutes later, fully refreshed and ready for with like all of their spell slots back.
These are
Um,
people that are just running off of Red Bulls.
yes,
This is that person where you're like, wow, you're literally functioning
these
off of
are
no
these are
sleep
the
and Red Bull.
people that like hire a like a nurse or somebody to come and put like IVs into themselves at the end of like a long night of drinking. Like
Holy
it's
crap.
that level of like we are dedicated to what we're doing. But like the bard was like exhausted all the time
Yeah, I can
because they
imagine.
wouldn't let him do anything. But it was essentially a like the bard stayed in the back, protected himself. Like they gave him like armor and stuff and like magic items just to make sure that he was like untouchable. And then
I wish it was
they
a
would go up
construct because it
and
makes me
start
feel
attacking.
bad. It makes me feel bad for this person.
It should have been
I
like a
wish it was
warforged or something. Yeah.
yeah, like it's just like, oh, this is a small auto gnome like construct or a golem or
Yeah.
like a gargoyle that can cast magic. Because then it's
That would
just
all
like
be very good. This was a halfling.
yeah, yeah. Oh, I understand. I know how this works, but
Yeah.
it's funny.
But yeah, it
That's
was
nuts. That's
such a
really nuts.
cool like a cool dichotomy. Is that the word I'm looking for?
I think that
Uh,
would work. Yeah.
yeah, it was a cool like dynamic between the group of these 4 warlocks who were essentially like we don't have the time to
Hmm.
not push through this. And so as they're going through this like dungeon, they're essentially like, we need to always be on top of things.
We got to
We
do it.
don't have the time to like take an hour to like take a short rest. We need to just move. And so they went out and hired this bard to just come with them and like do catnap on them, which like as warlocks get to be higher and higher level, catnap
Hmm.
becomes a more and more incredibly useful spell.
Yeah, I was gonna
Um,
say because you get things back like it's I know what is it? Even bards don't get their stuff back at a short rest until like a higher level. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I don't think
they
they
get like magical recovery or something like that, right?
yeah
Um,
they get like their bardic inspirations I think at a certain point, after a short rest, but it's not until like 3 or 4 or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. Um,
I will say the bard that they brought with them, very high level caster. Like
mm,
they had access to I think eighth level spell slots at that point. So
ooh,
they were
oh
like
god.
they were hiring a bard who was like of their level. It wasn't like like we got this intern who has like one spell slot that he can use. This was like the bard was using spell after spell after spell and was just all of their spells were being used on catnap to just keep this party going. They spent an absurd amount of gold and promised him like a portion of the treasure at the end to get him to come along. But like it was such
Did they
a
make good on their
they
did they
did.
make good
They
on
did
their
treat they
okay.
did treat him well at the end there. But like it was a very interesting adventure because like they were essentially able to do like a week's worth of spell slots um in like a day with
That's
him just
nuts.
continuously casting this catnap spell for them. And what I ended up doing, because it doesn't say it on the spell, it doesn't say that like you can only uh like you get any negative or anything, but it does say like the target gains the benefit of a short rest and can't be affected by the spell again until it finishes a long rest. Because they wanted to do the game this way, they like I allowed it to be this thing where
Back to back.
they were able to do it. But what it was every time they did it, I put a note on my end of like how many times it had been done. And when they went to like when it all caught up with them, where they were essentially just like adrenaline running
Mm-hmm.
through this dungeon, when it all caught up with them, they were going to take all the levels of exhaustion that they had like
Mm.
earned by doing this. So for each one of the for each like round of it that they had done past the first one, I would put a mark. So when they hit, like they had done 7 catnaps, that's 6 levels of exhaustion. And
Oh
so
god.
they like completed their thing, and then they were like, okay, it's done. We can like rest, and died.
Oh
And
god.
because they had hit 6 levels of exhaustion, and so then the like follow up was, like take our bodies, bring them back to the person that we already made the arrangements for, bring us to them, and have them bring us back. Here is
That's so
gold to do
nuts.
that.
Oh my
And they
god.
essentially like took that last
They
like
had a
short
will. They had a
rest
will.
to
They
be like,
planned their death.
this is what we need you to do. And
Wow.
like the guy took like gathered up their bodies, gathered up all the like treasure and stuff at the end of the dungeon, and went and like had them be brought back. And I think that is what sealed the dynamic between them and that bard that they had brought on board was, we need to use you to get through this. Like we need you to just
Mm.
make sure that we are adrenaline running through the end, but at the end we are going to put all of our faith in you. Um
Mm. That's a big one.
because we are going to die,
Yeah.
and you have the opportunity, you absolutely could leave us there, take all the treasure and go. Um we would prefer you didn't do that.
Please don't.
Like
Please don't.
we'll pay you up front for your services, and then we will give you an even split with us of the treasure, because we need you to do this. And
For the love of everything, please don't. Please don't
yeah,
let us die.
and watching the party like have that sort of very serious conversation with an NPC where they were like, we need to use you, and we know that sucks, and
That
please
realization. That's not
please
always the
go with
case.
us. Yeah,
Yeah, that's not
this
always the
was
case.
not
Normally it's like no
this was not
remorse.
a
Yeah.
like we're going to use and abuse you sort of situation. um but yeah, it was a very cool like dynamic that kind of developed there. um
That's bananas. That is really nuts. I would have gone with 5 hour energy drink rules. I would have 5 hour energy drinks. If you don't know, first one's good. Second one also good. Once you start hitting the third one, that doesn't really work as good.
Yeah, there's a
I
drop off
remember
in how productive they are.
yeah, so I definitely remember by my third one, exhaustion hit me.
Yeah,
So I
you
think I
are
would have
the way I describe it is tired fast. Like you are exhausted, but your body is still moving, and you're like, please stop. Like my brain is no longer responding to this well.
correct. Yep. I would definitely. It's like it's nuts. Luckily they knew that going in, like that the whole exhaustion was hitting up at the end.
Yeah.
Because I think I would have been like, you keep getting these short rests and you keep getting the benefits of short rest, but you're gonna keep getting exhaustion during the situation.
Yeah.
And you got to take the long rest.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like you can keep going and you got one level of exhaustion, but you can still keep doing it.
I do. I mean? If I were to do it again, I think that is how I would do it. But the situation I had presented to them was such a difficult one, and
I feel you.
They came up with this solution, and I was like, oh, that's real fun. So it was a very like, it was definitely a one-time thing. Like I would never let it happen the same way again. But like having that moment was very fun.
Yeah, we talked the other day about like when we have to like the situation calls for this item or this this dynamic or the way this spell works. I wanted them to get an item, this one player, and I was like, well, he's like, I wish I could do better with my archery. Like I wish I can do better with my bow. And I was like, all right, I gave him this quiver that essentially I put like chromatic orb in the quiver.
Nice.
So whenever he puts his arrows in there, when he pulls it out, we roll to see which chromatic orb it is, but it's going to be on the tip. So it's going to be like an extra something.
I like that a lot.
So it was a chromatic quiver. But he wanted his bow to like hit better. But he already had these bracers of daggers. So he didn't have what do you call it? Like I could give him bracers of archery.
Yeah.
So what I did was it's my Lemortia campaign where it's like the Dr. Mordenheim, she's like a mad scientist. So she's already established that she doesn't like when they go shopping because it's like, I could make you something better. Why are you going out and buying garbage? So she was gonna give him bracers of archery, but he already has bracers. So my quick turnaround, and it kind of ended up being kind of dope. She took his bow and snapped the bracers to the top and bottom of the shaft of the bow.
Okay.
And they not only tightened it made the bow hit more, but because everything's like almost steampunk sci-fi thing, it's one bracer increases the tension to make it hit harder, but the top one almost acts like a sight. So bracers of archery just do like a +2 to damage. This is a +2 to hit and damage.
You turned it into a +2 bow.
It makes it a real cool bow, and it's like literally it's just like one makes it hurt more, one makes you see more, and that's but he doesn't like get the benefits of the bracers of archery where it's just your ranged attacks, because bracers are ranged attacks.
It's specific to the item.
It's literally just like to his bow, so it's like you still can use your daggers, you can still do close range stuff, but if you want that bow, like that's just that bow type of thing. But
that's very
improvising
good.
Things and finding out whether or not they'll work. That one seems honest, but it's like that might bite me in the ass later. You know what I mean? Like I know that this did you start that short rest situation going, this is exactly how it's going to work, or did you build upon it as you went? It's like you aren't going to know until after the fact whether or not it's going to be what you want it to be. All right, overtime. Last tangent. Hunter, hit people with what they need to do.
Hey guys, gonna look right into the camera. What's up? You need to take care of yourself this week. Take a short rest. Go take a nap. Crawl into bed. Pull the covers over your head. Enjoy a nap. If you don't enjoy a nap, don't take one. Do something else. Do some other way of taking a short rest. Take an hour at some point and just do something that's refreshing. That could be take a long hot shower. Take an hour where you are just going to be like, okay, you know what? I haven't watched that show that gives me like so much like nostalgic joy in so long. Take an hour, watch it. take an hour and like cook something that you want to try cooking. Take an hour and go for a walk. Take an hour and just do some yard work or something. If you enjoy that, find an hour, take your short rest, and recover. That's it. That is the only thing for this one. There is no additional like calls to action. There is no nonsense to this one. It is just find an hour, recuperate,
and let us know if you take a shitty nap. Like, you know,
if you take your hour and it wasn't refreshing, you have to do it again.
Yeah,
you get yourself refreshed this week.
Keep going until you get it right. But you know, yeah.
And tweet at us and let us know what you did for your 1 hour, and if you feel better after doing it. If you don't feel better, we're not responsible. You did a bad job of resting.
Clip that.
But yeah, find an hour this week. Find an hour that you can just do something that will be recuperating to you. And if it isn't recuperating, if you get to the end of that hour, it wasn't a wasted hour. You still like enjoyed whatever you did. But find a different hour, try something new, and like recuperate. Take care of yourselves. That's it for this week. It's my only call to action.
Good times.
Junie, where can the people find us?
They can find warlocksandwaffles.com, and our links are on there for you're here, but we're on YouTube, Twitch, and Hunter, your links are on there. We can find you on Start Playing. We can find you on Twitter at @warlock_waffle. All my links are at Very Nerdy Dad, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, or Thread now, because Thread's the thing. So
I've heard good things. I was gone when it launched. I told my wife
about this like a month ago.
Yeah.
Like, hey, apparently Meta Instagram is working on a Twitter killer, and we don't know what it is yet. And then I just heard everybody saying, "Yo, Thread," and I'm like, "Oh, this is it."
Yeah,
you just use your Instagram to log into a Twitter version.
So yeah. So find us. I should probably get on there and like make one.
You are on there. That's the thing. It just uses your Instagram.
Oh, I should
just literally
check it.
Yeah, if you just go, you might already had people follow you. Like, cool. You know what I mean?
Good to know. Awesome. Also, because the announcement went out, we are in August. We are doing the show with Rosie, which is going to be very, very fun. That'll be a very cool thing. So make sure you're checking that out. Casting announcement went out recently. It's going to be a very good time. If you don't follow Rosie already, Sweet Rosie B here on Twitch, go drop the follow so that you will know when we are going live with that stuff. It is going to be very good. I'm very excited about all the characters that have been being thrown around in that chat.
I need to narrow mine down because I still have like 3 versions, and I think 2 of them are stupid. So
I'm very excited about mine. Okay, that's it.
All right.
That's the end of the show. Have a great week, everybody. We will be back on Friday. We will be doing part 2 of our monster rankings, right? Is that what we're doing on Friday?
Oh, yep.
We'll come to the show. You don't get to know. You don't. Yeah. It's a secret. We haven't decided.
We have
a couple of them that are already like prepped and ready to go, but there are other ones that are there as well. We've also now had like people reach out and be like, "Hey, when you talk about this monster, can I come on and like do that with you?" So we might start having guests on for that as well, which would be a lot of fun. But yeah, catch us on Friday for that. That'll be a good time. If you didn't watch our previous one, surprising top tier monster in that one. Go check it out. We will be back on Friday, same time, 8 a.m. Eastern, if you want to catch us live. Otherwise, it'll be on the VODs here on Twitch and then on YouTube as well. Talk to y'all later. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
Bye,